Hello my dear creatives, and welcome to this live stream, which will be all about time management for artists and productivity life hacks for artists. So here I will share with you 6 of my top life hacks which I use every single day that help me boost my productivity as an artist, as a content creator. And yes, I hope they will help you. I did kind of a several notes, so it will help me to stay on track and not get distracted here. So let's begin. My life hack number 1 is give your morning back to yourself, because very often the first thing in the morning we wake up and we tend to think like what to do for dinner today, like which tasks should I accomplish today. Like we have all these like everyday routine destructive thoughts. But if you give your morning to yourself, and by that I mean that you give inspiration back to yourself, you do things that you really love doing. You don't start like working right the way you wake up and had your breakfast, but when you have this time for yourself, like you meditating or you're reading or you're doing yoga, pilates, maybe you're walking, maybe you're drawing for yourself, not like for commissions, but for yourself, it can boost your productivity in future. So for example, my morning usually starts between 6 and 7 a.m. and after breakfast I used to meditate for about maybe 10 or 15 minutes. Then I do yoga. I sometimes go and walk in the park, and it can take like half an hour or 1 hour, but I give this hour to myself. Or sometimes I draw something that I really want to, like maybe a bunch of flowers or like some topic that I really want to do, and it's not like for my YouTube content or for my drawing commissions, something that really inspires me the most. So please give your morning back to yourself and dedicate at least maybe half an hour or 1 hour to your own things that you really love doing, and that you know that you can achieve the most when you feel healthy and happy, right? So it can be yoga, walk, meditation, reading, journaling. So get inspired in the morning and then begin working. And this leads us to my tip number 2 in this today's live stream. Hi guys, hi Alexandra, hi Munmurmur. My productivity and time management trick and life hack number 2 is do important and creative stuff first. Very often we procrastinate as artists, as creators. For example, we know that we have to do this course, we have to create this video course, or we have to write this blog post, or we need to write that book, or like launch something that really we've been waiting for a long time. But we tend to procrastinate, we tend to do some stuff which is easy or unimportant, like checking your email or checking your social media. By the way, social media, Instagram, it's gonna be in the whole separate life hack lately. It will be life hack number 3. So do creative stuff first that really takes a lot of brain power. As for me, it is creating new tutorials, new lessons for my video courses on be that interior design drawing or fashion sketching or urban sketching. So this is the things that I do for my business, for my online school of sketching. It can be working on my new blog post, hi-fi sketch, writing a blog post in English or in Russian, because why I decided to do this live stream on productivity tips, because very often people ask me, Olga, how do you manage to run 2 blogs in Russian and in English and post like 1 blog article every month? How do you manage to run 2 YouTube channels, because one is in Russian, one is in English, and I post at least one tutorial, one video on each of them every single week. How do I manage to launch new video courses? How do I manage to how do I manage my social media content? Because very often people say that they can see that I draw a lot, I create a lot of courses, and they asking me, how do I do that? So in this live stream, that's what's exactly why I decided to do it, so I can share with you my productivity and time management hacks. So let me switch to the third part. So trick number 2 was do important and creative stuff first. For example, in my situation, before lunch, I do all my shooting videos, all my photo shooting for business. I work on my blog post or on my book. So I do that stuff before lunch. Hi, my dream architecture. After lunch, I can focus on more administrative kind of work. It can be checking my emails or posting something on social media, scheduling something. So social media topic brings me to my life hack on productivity and time management number 3, which is no distraction. I mean by distraction, email, messengers, social media, no distraction before important stuff is done. So for me, it's no distraction before lunchtime. And I live in New Zealand. The majority of my students live in Russia or in Europe or in States, so we have very big time difference. And sometimes I realize that it would be more beneficial for me to post, for example, early in the morning, which means it's an evening time in Russia or in Europe. But I don't do that because I know the moment I on Instagram, it's like it takes a lot of time and energy, and my mind go in different directions. I'm starting distracting myself. I want to check my direct messages or comments, and at the end of the day, I feel like I spent a lot of hours on social media, on Instagram, and haven't done like really serious creative work that I mean to do, like creating new tutorials, video courses, and so on. For example, on Sunday, I do not check Instagram at all. Sunday is my Instagram detox day. And I feel really happy on Monday because I feel like my mind, my brain is more cleaner, more happier. And actually now I'm thinking about switching to Instagram detox 2 days a week. And maybe some of you who've been following my Instagram for a while, since probably January this year, 2019, they noticed that in January, for example, I took a really long break from Instagram. It was 10 days detox, and you can't believe how many ideas will come to you after you do that, because we often find ourselves early in the morning, the moment we wake up, we take our phone and we start scrolling our posts or feed, and it's really it's like the worst thing that you can do for your creative life, for your productivity and time management, is to spend the first hours of your day the most productive. At least for me, I know that for a lot of artists, morning hours are the most productive. Some of my creative friends, they shared with me that they feel more productive after lunchtime. So it's completely different from my situation, for example, because after lunchtime I feel like I can do only administrative type of work that doesn't involve like brain power a lot, because I feel like I have the most amount of willpower and brain power early in the morning when my mind is clear, it's rested. So my life hack number 3 was no distraction, like mail, Instagram, social media, messengers. And My productivity hack number 4 is delegate and say no more often, because very often we are kind of people pleasers. We say yes very often. We say yes to each and every opportunity, and by saying yes to something, we instantly say no to something else, and very often this no, we say no to our own things. So for example, I can say yes to maybe another interior design drawing commission, but at the very same moment I say no to, for example, shooting a new video course. So I hope you get the idea, right? So please say yes to your things, to what you really want and love to do, and things that you know will make the biggest shift in your life. For example, I know so many people who are great educators, and I can feel that they, for example, create fantastic video courses, but they don't do any steps to accomplish that. They continue doing what they do. So this is our like the concept of comfort zone comes into play very often, right? So please delegate and say no more often. And for example, how you can delegate, as for me, I don't like very much checking my emails and answering. So I hired a person, a virtual assistant, who helps me with that, who cleans up my inbox a little bit. Of course, I answer to all my students who did their homework and send it to me, but a lot of mails, a lot of stuff in our inboxes is spammy, and I don't want to distract myself with spam or unimportant messages, so I hired a person to deal with it, and I feel like I make another half an hour to hour a day to work on my stuff, which is really, really important. So number 5 is set boundaries, and it's very important, especially for creative people, because very often we feel like our work day starts at, say, 8 a.m. and it never ends until like we go to bed. So it was the same situation with me. I didn't have these time boundaries, and I used to work after 6 p.m. and 7 p.m. even during nighttime, and it was a really, really big mistake, because your sleep is important, your time for rest is important, your time with family and friends is really important, because sometimes I'm thinking like I will meet my friends, and at the same very moment I'm thinking, I could do some like work or like shoot another tutorial, and I catch myself and I say to myself that, Olga, no, this time with friends and family is super important. Especially now I feel it, because now I live in New Zealand, while the majority of my friends live in Russia, and of course my family, my parents live in Russia, and I know that it's how I realize now how important it is to spend more time with your family, because they are actually the most important people in your life. So regarding setting boundaries, right now, for example, my work day starts at 10 a.m. even though I work a lot of hours from home office, but sometimes I rent a space. I rent a co-working space, or sometimes I really love working from a cafe, like working on my blog posts or on my book on interior design drawing. I really feel like changing environment and changing this picture which is around you, your surroundings. It really helps you to boost your productivity and creativity. You start to think differently. So now I set boundaries in case, I start my day at 10 a.m. and I finish my day at 6 p.m. and I do not work after 6 p.m. because before I realized that it brings more harm than good to my business. I did a lot of stuff, like for example, I could find myself easily working on blog posts when it's say 10 p.m. in the evening. All right, and by the way, regarding boundaries, it's not only time boundaries, but it can be also like people relationship boundaries. For example, you used to say yes to every opportunity, or friend asks you to draw something, like let's say a card for him, or and you realize that it's not the best time investment for you, and even though it's your friend, and sometimes these kind of friends, they even ask to do it for free. Please, you guys, don't draw commissions or anything for free, because it will ruin you at the very end. So it's really very bad habit to do things for free. And my final life hack is to take time to rest. So, for example, I work 5 days a week. Sometimes I can work on Saturday when I really feel like creating, when I really feel very creative. Sometimes I can work on Saturdays, but Sundays are days that I unplug myself from everything, like from social media. As I told you, I avoid Instagram on Sunday. It's my Instagram detox day. I don't check Facebook, emails. I don't do any administrative or creative work on Sunday. Is my time that I dedicate to my family, to myself. I can like go out with friends, or go and have a massage, or have 1 hour, 2 hours yoga session, something like that. So I recharge my brain on Sundays, and it's really important to maybe have a nature walk, like Skype chat with your family, because very often in our century we like constantly on social media, we are always online, we are always checking our emails, and we do not give ourselves this very important time to unplug from everything, to go back to ourselves, our wants and needs, to our family. So take time to rest, please, you guys, and don't be like overachievers who never sleep, who never eat or eat some junk food like McDonald's, something like that. So nourish yourself properly, take time to rest, and set boundaries. So at the end, let me quickly recap all my 6 time management and productivity life hacks for artists. My number 1 was give your mornings back to yourself. Number 2 was Instagram, any social media before lunchtime. And number 4 was delegate and say no more often. Number 5 was all about setting boundaries. And the final tip and trick was number 6, take time to rest. All right, my dear creatives, I hope you enjoyed this live stream. Please share it with your friend who can benefit from it.